1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost a weekend and you don't know what to do. Or you just need something fun to listen to.
Southside Pod!
Yes, we're on the air.
Pod.
And the gang's all here, all things on the South Side. We're listening to the Southside Pod. Looking for the best Southside breweries. Or you might just need an awesome place to eat.
Southside Pod!
Mount Greenwood, Evergreen,
Southside Pod.
Blue Island, Beverly, Payless, and Allsup 2. You're tuned into the Southside Pod.
Southside Pod!
Oak Lawn, Midlothian,
Southside Pod.
Oak Forest, Chicago Ridge, Flossmoor, and Bridgeview. You're listening to Southside Pod!
And bellying up to the 9-foot homemade oak bar, pour yourself a cold one. My name is Chris. You're in my basement. This is Southside Pod, 30 minutes of good in a world of dumb. Normally you got Mike and you got Bill down here. Neither one of them are here because I caught something terrible this week. And it's not what you think it is either. It's just one of those things that like the kids bring home from school. You know, we sent them all back after they didn't really build up their immune systems over the last couple of years. And it's not a commentary on anything. It's just saying, hey, they seem more susceptible to catching diseases and bringing them home. And they brought them home. And Dad survived. Like I survived 2 weeks of people coughing in this house. Everybody was done. And then I was down. And when I get sick, man, I lose my voice. I can barely move. I lay on the couch like a big baby, and I don't do anything. That's just what I do. Because of that, this show will be a little different this week. This episode of Southside Pod and every episode of this show brought to you by Tom Walsh, your financial advisor for Edward Jones. Tom's got my money. He's got Bill's money. He's done a very good job during some uncertain times. He's kept our wealth. That's a good thing. He helps us grow it. Get the personal advice you need to achieve your goals. Give Tom a call, 773-779-0023, or pop in and see him 111th and Kedzie, right in the neighborhood. I got all your weekend events. I got new stuff for you, but I'm also going to go back and I'm going to pull from shows that none of you listen to. Seriously, we get download numbers here, and we can see a really consistent thing with our listenership, and then every once in a while we get this big dip on a show. Now, sometimes it's because it's a holiday weekend. Kids going back to school, graduation week, you name it. There are certain weeks where I understand the dip. Sometimes it's because I named the show terribly. Doesn't mean the show wasn't good, it's just you missed it. But the best thing about podcasts are they're on demand. And since I could not interview anybody this week because I didn't want to give them the Black Death or whatever plague I was carrying, I now have an excuse to go get material from these shows that you missed. Most of you. Probably all of you at least missed one of these. In fact, I'd be shocked if any of you can't find something you've never heard on this episode. I've grabbed some good stuff from these episodes, a little taste of them to kind of get you to want to go back on SouthsidePod.com or any podcast player, whichever one you use. We're everywhere. They're all on demand. They're all still there. So if you listen to something today and you're like, I want to hear more of that interview, or I want to check out that show, I'm going to give you the name of the show that it was pulled from, and then you'll be able to go back and listen to the rest of it and check out a show you probably missed for one reason or another. And if you're new to Southside Pod, trust me, all of this is new to you. So we've got some fun ahead for you today. We're also going to have everything going on this weekend around the South Side, including 2 events. We're going to be in Tinley. We're going to be in Lemont this weekend. Come see Southside Pod, raise a glass at 2 different Oktoberfest. Details for that and other things going on around town this weekend coming up, and maybe a few surprises along the way. But the first show that you missed, or a lot of you missed, I think was right around Easter time. So it makes sense to me. We talked about high school dances. We talked about art festivals going to local breweries. And we also talked about mailing away your DNA. And that's the name of the episode. If you enjoyed this upcoming clip right here and you want to go back and find it on demand, anywhere podcasts can be found, and always at SouthsidePod.com.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
It's the Southside Pod!
It's the Southside Pod!
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
It's the Southside Pod!
It's the Southside Pod!
OMG!
OMG!
It's the SSP!
It's the SSP!
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
It's the Southside Pod!
It's the Southside Pod! I'm in the car today driving around, and it hit me that we're at the beginning of like some sort of weird sci-fi movie that you watch and it's supposed to be like in the future this thing happens. Because Every commercial during this commercial break, I heard 3 different commercials for 3 different companies that wanted me to send them my DNA.
Yes.
You've heard these commercials, right?
Yeah, it's been going on for a long time.
23andMe.
Right.
Oh, we've got a catchy name. Send us your DNA and all of your information. We promise we won't use it for evil. Like, in no way will this be planted at a crime scene later. Like, in no way.
No, not at all.
In no way will we clone you hundreds of years
Never
after you're
happened.
dead.
We're not creating a database
Right.
of human genomes and using that information in any malicious way whatsoever.
No.
It is not stored in some evil lair inside a mountain.
Yeah, trust
No.
us. Trust us. We're not going
We're
to.
23andMe.
We're not going to abuse this in any way. Haven't you heard how cute our name is? We're just gonna
It rhymes.
We're gonna take the one thing that can't be duplicated, that's even more secure than your social security number.
You're even more secure than your fingerprint.
And we're going to take that and keep that entire genome, the entire strand of your DNA, all of it.
Everything that makes you,
We're gonna keep
is
that.
now ours.
Right. Like, I never saw Jurassic Park and what could happen if you start messing with DNA.
Right.
Right. You have dinosaur Chris roaming the earth in about 1,000 years. Big giant Tyrannosaurus, tiny little arms and my face on it.
Chris.
A pitcher of beer, a pitcher of beer. Let's order another pitcher of beer. That pitcher of beer should come over here. I love that pitcher of beer.
Hailstorm Brewing here on Southside Pod is hopping, and I have Chris Schiller here. He is the owner. How you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Big Beautiful Wheat right now.
You know, my wife had a couple of those. She loved it. I tried it. The thing that I got out of it was that it feels like I'm having something really traditional. Like, I've tried Bavarian style Hefeweizens, but they don't always feel like the same. This one feels like I could have gotten this in Germany.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's a real compliment. You know, and the reason is it's a little bit difficult to bring out the banana clove esters out of the yeast. Certain conditions have to be just right to really emphasize that. And so we've really tried to do that. Will is a master at brewing those types of things and getting that characteristic out of the yeast. And he's really done well on this, and it's much better than our previous batches.
Yeah, I know. The first thing she said was, every time I have a Hefeweizen, it tastes like there's too much banana. Like, it's almost like it's overdone. And yours was perfect. It was exactly what it should have been. And she, like, here's a person that I introduced to beer maybe about 5 years ago because she was a wine drinker. And she right away was like, wow, this is different from any of them that I ever get anywhere else.
Yeah, so the yeast used is called a Weihenstephaner yeast, and that's from one of the oldest breweries in Germany. And you get two things. You get banana and you get clove, and all that depends on the fermentation temperature. So if you ferment, I forget which it is, warmer or colder, but I think like warmer it's more banana, colder it's more clove.
You have an interesting thing going on here on Thursday nights. I don't know how long it's been going on, if this is new or whatever. You got a guy doing bingo with music. And supposedly you have to identify the song to fill out your bingo card. How long have you been doing this for?
It is actually a brand new thing. So if it goes well, we'd love to continue it. They do it at a few other breweries that I've seen before. Noon Whistle, and I think Phase 3 does it. And it looked like a really cool thing. So it's like, hey, let's book this. We want to have fun things to do on Thursdays. We want to have a band on Friday, maybe a band usually on Saturday. We want to start having something to do really every like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if we can. Our goal really is to make this an event space as much as a really good destination for beer, because really that's what it's all about right now. It's about having great experiences, having great things to do, not missing out on community events like this. So that's our focus right now, is just more and more like weekend events, things for people to do, interactive, plus great beer on top of it and great food.
You know, your bartender was telling me you got a pretty good crowd here, and I've heard from a lot of other breweries that the people are coming back now. Like, people are showing up to drink beer in a beer hall or in a brewery, and they can see this notable rise in what's going on. And tell me a little bit about like what it's like being in Tinley, being part of the community, as you mentioned, and like, you know, how much it means to you to see people walking in here and drinking your beer even on a weekday.
Yeah, it's a great community of craft beer lovers in Tinley Park and the greater surrounding area. I think the other factor is we do have a number of breweries right around here, so it is a bit of a destination. There's 3 right now. There's going to be 4 pretty soon, right?
The 4th coming?
Yep.
Who's coming?
Well, you remember 350 Brewing.
Yes, and then they went away, yeah.
Yep, they're coming back as a different brewery. Not they, a different owner. Actually, the original owner, Eric, has purchased everything and is reopening it as Flipside Brewing. And
Because it's the flip side of 350?
yes.
Another good interview on the Southside Pod. How come Mike and me are never invited to these things? I want to go.
Me too.
You never invite us.
The beer review you just heard, many of you missed in the episode entitled A Heat Wave of Southside Fun. It was right around the 4th of July. Again, a holiday. We just see these little dips every once in a while. People, it's on demand. You can listen to it a few days later. Like 95% of the show is evergreen with the exception of us talking about what's going on that weekend. This is what happens when you don't subscribe. I think what happens is people listen through Facebook or Twitter. They see a link on social media. They listen and they forget to go to southsidepod.com and subscribe. They forget to go to a podcast player and say, I'm in. Give me all these episodes. I don't want to miss anything. I don't plan on ever getting sick again. So this is the only time I plan on ever doing a show like this. So make sure you're subscribed. All the options are actually at southsidepod.com unless you have a podcast player you already prefer on your device. We're going to be at Hailstorm this weekend. That's why I featured it as well. They're one of 2 Oktoberfest that Southside Pod is going to be at. Details on those and much more coming up very shortly. And that segment brought to you by the law offices of Parente and Norum. Have you been injured at work? You need a team that will do what it takes to fight for your rights. Insurance companies only care about one thing, the bottom line. At the law offices of Parente and Norum, their team has the experience, dedication, and proven results it takes to get you the care and compensation you deserve. The law offices of Parente and Norum have recovered, listen to this, over $400 million for their injured clients and their loved ones. Seriously, I went to their website and checked it out when they reached out and said, we want to advertise on Southside Pod. I looked at these guys. They're serious looking guys. I understand why they win court cases. For a free case evaluation, free, call or text them today, 312-641-5926, or see those serious gentlemen at pninjurylaw.com. You know what? We heard from Hailstorm. We might as well talk about the Oktoberfest events we're going to be at this weekend. For the next couple of weekends, Southside Pod is going to be out at Oktoberfest around the South Side. This weekend, we got back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. First, we're going to the Forge, Lemont Quarries. $10 on Eventbrite. Get your tickets in advance. They're $15 at the door. Your entrance ticket includes a souvenir stein while supplies last, and they have a ton of them, so I would expect you're going to get one. Live music all day long at the Forge. It's a big, open area. Our tent will be dead center as you look at the stage. We're going to be about 3/4 of the way back in between the beer and the food tent. I've already seen the map. I'm very excited to come hang out with you, and we're giving away cash money. We got a big, big raffle prize that we're giving away and other things as well. Come see us, hang out, have a beer in the tent. If it's sunny outside, get yourself some shade. Get out there this Saturday and see us. And then Hailstorm, who you just heard from, they're not only having one on Saturday, but they're also having one Sunday. Sunday, we're going to be there September the 25th. Live music starts at 2. The doors open up at noon. They got to keep the Stein promotion and keep the boot promotion. I'm getting a boot and drinking beer out of the boot. The beer you just heard about is going to be there, along with their new Oktoberfest, Take Me to Your Liter. And in fact, I think they have their entire giant menu of beer that they make in that brewery. It's a really cool place. If you've never been there before, get over there, 8060 186th Street in Tinley Park. There's Sunday, Lemont is Saturday. We're at both of them. We will see you out this weekend. And this look at the Oktoberfest we will be attending this weekend, brought to you by the fine folks over at sidsauce.net. Delicious hot sauces. They've got a sauce for every kind of food. Get a look at everything they have, and they deliver pretty much to most of the South Side. Hand delivered for free. See all they have to offer at sidsauce.net.
Well, come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Well, come on, baby, don't you wanna go? But tune in every Thursday for your 30 minutes of good. It's the Southside Pop. Belly up, 9-foot, homemade oak bar. Just belly up to the 9-foot, homemade oak bar. To hear Chris and Mike and Bill on the Southside Pop. Southside Pop. If you live in the best side, we all know what that is. It's the South, S-I-D-E, side. We appreciate you. We hope you appreciate us. On the South Side Pie.
You know, I had to have a little bit of an intervention for my 13-year-old son the other day.
Oh, he's starting.
Oh, boy.
No. Look, yeah.
I wonder where you learned it, Dad.
There used to be doors on that entertainment center over there.
Okay.
And the other night, I'm sitting upstairs, and I hear a weird noise in the basement. And then I hear somebody going, oh no, like in this absolute panic. Like panic thing.
Was his girlfriend down here with him?
No. No, he don't have one of those. He don't have one of those yet, okay? He don't have enough game to get one of those. Not this kid. He's sitting down here playing video games, and he gets so frustrated with a video game.
Oh, yeah.
What he did is he broke the door off of the entertainment center.
You don't want to break the controller anymore.
Yeah,
They're
you can't
expensive.
do it. Yeah, it's like $60.
Nintendo
now.
controllers were like $9.
The
These new things are
entertainment
like-
center is more expensive than the controller.
But you can still play video games.
Yeah.
It's not. He don't have to buy a new entertainment center.
I come down the stairs, and he's standing there, and it's a door. It's a wood entertainment center. Like this is like a real.
This is not an
wood.
IKEA
Yeah, it's not like
pressed
plywood.
I
Yeah,
didn't
right.
put this together with the weird little wrench that
Right.
shows up. That's one-time use with this. Like this was actually delivered the way it was as a piece of furniture. And it has these
Mahogany.
beveled glass doors
Not
that are on the
anymore.
thing. No, not anymore. Because
I don't
when I
see
get
any
down
glass. Do you
here,
see any glass?
the hinges are still on
Oh, nice.
and part of the frame. But then the glass and the other 3/4 of the frame that goes around the glass is laying in one piece on the ground. As if it has been ripped off by the Incredible Hulk.
right.
And I'm standing there and I go, what happened? He goes, it just fell apart.
Fell off, Dad.
Just fell off
I
like
didn't
that.
do it.
I was
It just-
playing, and then I got second place in Fortnite, and the thing fell off.
And it just disintegrated. And I'm like, and I just did one of those things. Like as it was going on, I was thinking to myself, like, oh, now this is what it's like to be on the other side of this as a father. Because I've been on his side where I was
Sure.
petrified when I did something really stupid.
Right.
And now I'm the dad. And the first thing running through my head is like, don't kill him.
Right.
Like if you kill him, that'll be trouble for you.
Sure.
You have to come short of killing him. Okay, he's an idiot.
Right.
You need to deal with it. But at this point, screaming and yelling is going to not make your point.
No.
As much as cold dad anger. So I just look at him and I go,
You should break his favorite thing.
just
right in front of him.
Just fell off, huh? He goes, yeah. And so I walk over into the real calm, like looking at the thing, right? Like I observe the door.
Right.
And you could see him sweating over there because he's like, I don't
He's
know.
gonna know
You think
he's
think
gonna know it
buy
just didn't fall off.
Think he's gonna buy it? Think he's gonna buy
Like,
it?
in his head, that was a legitimate story.
Yeah.
Like when you went over to look at it, he's like, holy shit, he's buying this. keep
So that-
keep
then I-
up the story.
Then I call him over. I do the little finger thing. I'm like, come here. Come on over here real close. And
That's
he's like
a bad-
nervous.
the
and
finger
I go,
thing,
I
man.
want to show you something here. This is wood. This is like real, like actual wood. This isn't
Came
some
from
kind
a
of
tree and everything.
composite thing. I said, as you can see here, there were 3 different pieces of wood that were part of this door. 2 of them are running in this direction, and the other one's grain was like this. And by looking at it, I could see that somebody essentially, I would say, grabbed the handle and forcefully pulled upward. And the moment I said that, like, he knew he was
It
done.
was done, right?
He was like, oh, he's a forensic scientist now. He's figured out exactly what's happened. But he's still trying to stick to his story. He's like, I closed. I might have been a little angry,
Right.
but I mean, not enough for the door to fall
Like
off.
the murderer, like all of a sudden he went from I didn't kill her to I didn't mean to kill her.
Right. I mean, it just kind of happened. Like everything was fine, and then all of a sudden, just like
he's plea bargaining.
Right, that's what he's doing. And I told him, I said, I want you to take a deep breath.
Wasn't premeditated.
I want you to take a deep breath, and then I want you to think really hard about what the next thing is that should come out of your mouth, because it shouldn't be anything else except for the absolute truth. And he just looks at me and he goes, I got angry at the video game and I ripped the door off. I said, you understand now, if you would have broken a controller, you would have just paid $50, right?
Sure.
But because of this, and this being much more expensive, you will work this off. It will take all summer.
Oh, no.
It will be a fence that needs to be painted in the backyard, and the garage needs painting in the
Tom
backyard.
Sawyer
And, this kid works for me.
Finn did it, right?
Yeah.
This
Tom
kid
Sawyer.
works
Huck
for
Finn,
me
yeah.
now. That's what he does. He works for me.
Love it.
His first task the next morning, because I left it there.
You're going to be our bartender
His
today?
first task the next morning was to take the other doors off and make everything look nice that was in there. And then I had him like all day the next day. It was just manual labor. I'm like, oh, remember like last summer when Dad was getting up all those rocks out of the garden and I didn't know what to do with them? I want you to move that pile from over here to over here. It looks better.
And then when you're done, move it back.
That last clip from a show that many of you missed, and I'm going to say it's because I made a terrible title for that show. I must have been hammered. The title of the show, if you want to check it out, and it's got some high school football talk on the south side. It's got a trip to Blue Island Beer Company on their patio, and we're talking about barrel-aged beers and things like that. And we found a guy with what he described as boho chic women's clothing that he was selling in Blue Island. And so I named this show Southside Dads and Boho Chic Beer Drinking. Terrible name. There's a reason why none of you listen to this show. I get it. You saw it. You were like, that looks stupid. You didn't listen to it. I understand. The show's good. I listened to it today. I found that clip listening to it. I was trying to figure out what was wrong with it. It's me. I was the problem. Obviously, I need some help. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need somebody to assist me. And sometimes when you get on in your later years, you need some assistance. Now, you could send mom or dad to a nursing home. You could worry about them in their own home, or you could do something about it, right? If you or a loved one are having a hard time getting around the house, Hyatt Home Medical Equipment on the south side will set up the home like a smart home. Doors that open and close with the touch of an app. Things they add to the floor plan around the house in the bathroom to reduce falls. Refit the bathtub so it has a door. Automated chairs that bring you from one floor to another one. You have a problem sleeping at night? Your spouse lays next to you and says that it sounds like you're dying all night long because you're choking on your own tongue? You probably need a CPAP machine. Nobody wants to listen to that, and you really shouldn't be sleeping that way. They have the best technology when it comes to CPAP machines. They even have special rooms where you can go in and you can test them out. I checked this out. It's really cool. Diabetes control, extra oxygen tanks, you name it, they got it. Check it all out. HHME.com. See what they have. They work with your insurance and they're going to take money off if you mention Southside Pod. Stop in and see them. Talk to a real live person that's trying to help you. 3518 West 95th Street in Evergreen Park. Let's see what else is going on around the South Side this weekend. Martyrs Fest is this weekend for those of you in Mount Greenwood. Evergreen Park as well, I would say. Beverly folks, Oak Lawn folks. They're having a big party over there. Queen of Martyrs and St. Bernadette Parish are combining and they're having like a massive festival. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I want to say the Ron Burgundies are playing on Sunday. They're closing the whole thing out. They got the carnival rides, they got the food, they got the beer tent. It's really the last big carnival of the year. Who else do I see on here? Saturday, Liam Durkin Band is playing. It's country night on Friday night. It's over at 103rd and Central Park, if you didn't know. In Elsip on Sunday, 10 a.m., the Ultimate Reptile Show is happening at the Doubletree. 5000 West 127th Street in Elsip, just off of Cicero. 10 a.m. until 2:30 in the afternoon. Free parking, of course. If you like reptiles, check them out at the Doubletree Inn. And also on Sunday at 3 p.m., Sunday Fun Day with Coyote Riot in Blue Island at Blue Island Beer Company. You can go to the reptile show and then you can go see a band play in Blue Island. That sounds like a Sunday. It's bluegrass pickin' music. They've been doing it for years. $10 suggested donation, and they got good beer at Blue Island. Check them out, 13357 Old Western Avenue in BI. This Southside Bulletin Board is brought to you by Cool Clouds Vapor Shop. Quitting smoking is hard. Cool Clouds wants to help you find an alternative. They also have great CBD products and a full taster bar. See everything they have to offer at coolcloudsvapor.com or stop in and see them at 3837 West 95th Street in Evergreen Park. The last clip I have here is basically a name drop. First off, a lot of people didn't listen to this episode, and I get it. One, the majority of the podcast had to do with an event that once it was over, why would you listen to the show? Two, another stupid name. My 7-year-old was watching Frozen. Do you want to build a snowman? And I was appearing at Chicago Podcast Day, and James VanOsdol was on to talk about a bunch of stuff, including Q101 and them getting the name back, and the Chicago Podcast Day event that he was hosting, and I came up with the name, Do You Want to Start a Podcast? And yeah, you guys just skipped that episode. But JVO was pretty cool on the show. We're going to play a little bit of it. If you want to hear the whole thing, of course, check out that episode, Do You Want to Start a Podcast? We also asked if the puddles in Blue Island can harm you. That was a good segment. And we talked about tipping at a Wendy's on the south side. I was actually asked in Palos by somebody in a Wendy's drive-thru if I wanted to give a tip. Actually, it was a pretty solid show. I laughed a lot at this one. A lot of you missed it. Remember to subscribe. Seriously, go to SouthsidePod.com. Look at all the different options. You can do Apple Podcasts. You can do Spotify. You can say, hey, Alexa, play Southside Pod. You can use iHeartRadio, Audible. Yeah, the thing you're using for audiobooks can also be used for podcasts. And we're on there. And we're not an audiobook in any way, shape, or form, but we're there. You would be surprised. All the options are at SouthsidePod.com. You can add yourself to our mailing list. We send you a reminder with a link all the time. Never miss another episode. If you never miss another episode, then I'll never get sick again and have to do a show where I go back and find episodes that you missed. That's logic. James VanOsdol on with us. How are you, James?
Mount Greenwood, Evergreen, Blue Island, Beverly, Palos, and Alsip too. I'm so glad to be on your show. But here's the thing, Chris Lanuti of Southside Pod. You have this bar. You have people sitting around microphones in your basement. Why are we doing this on Zoom? Why am I not sitting in front of the 9-foot bar?
You should have come over. What the heck?
You didn't invite me.
I thought that when I said it, it was like we could do it like here. You're just such a busy guy. I don't want to get in the way of JVO's vibe and what he's doing next.
This is Southside Pod. This isn't some amateur show. This is legit. I'd spend some time with Ellen Cromwell while in the area. I would do whatever.
Oh man. Okay. Next time, JVO.
Next time.
I screwed up. It's all my fault. And what's funny is we had on some of the other podcasts here on the Broadcast Basement On Demand Radio Network, I've had 3 different people at the bar today. I just thought that you wouldn't be able to make it down here. Look, I may have done like a little bit of radio in my day, but you were on here in Chicago in multiple spots. To me, you're big time. I didn't want to make you think you had to come here to my bar.
See, I didn't know. I thought maybe there's a South Side thing. Like everyone on the South Side assumes that people who live north of Congress Parkway don't want to go to the South Side.
That is kind of true. There might be a little bit of truth to that. That's
okay.
Possible. That's possible. Okay. WKQX got Q101 back.
Question number. I wish we'd recorded this a week ago.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Because I think you did like a whole special at some point where you did this big podcast, and I've seen it, where you have all the people who used to be on Q101, and you're basically like, it's gone, whatever. And I don't think most people even realize that it was. I think most people just didn't understand why they never said Q101 on that station, but it's back now. What was your reaction when you saw that?
Well, all right, a couple things. The episode you're referencing was episode 700 of my podcast, Car Con Carne. And I had 16 former employees. I wanted to do something big for the anniversary episode. 700 was a big number. So I figured the easiest thing for me to do by myself, I'm a one-man show, just invite a bunch of friends and have them, check in through the night. I figured we could trade dumb radio stories. And for the most part, it worked out. I worked at Cumulus Media for 6-ish years. And in the time I was there, which ended as recently as last August 2021, there were plans, hopes, aspirations to buy the Q101 intellectual property from the owner, a guy named Matt Dubiel. I know that was in the works. That was something aspirational, something they were hoping for. So this was in no way, shape, or form a surprise to me. I know this is something that they've been trying to do for a while. I think it's a really smart move. I think the brand 101 WKQX never took off. It was a non-starter. It was awkward to say. It was awkward to print. I think it was a tough brand. I think them buying Q101 is a great strategic move if they execute correctly. The people who buy radio time, the advertisers, the agencies, Those are people who are probably 35 to 54 years old, people who've been in the market for a long time, people who understand what Q101 is, and people who will be more receptive to sales pitches. Hey, we want to pitch you on sponsorship for Jamboree. We want your beer to be the title sponsor of our Twisted show. I think that goes a lot further than we're 101 WKQX. We'd like you to sponsor night 2 of the Nights We Stole Christmas. It'll happen on a Tuesday night of the year. No, I think Q101 has so much more, even though it's been off the air for 10 years, I think it has so much more mojo than 101 WKQX ever got. There's a lot more goodwill behind that brand. So strategically, it makes a lot of sense. We'll have to see what they do with it. I thought the launch could have been bigger and more shock and awe, but they've got a plan. I don't work there anymore. I'm out of radio. We'll see what they do with it.
Yeah. I knew about it first because I had somebody that I knew at the Weezer show. In fact, Mike, who's on Southside Pod, was at the Weezer show that they announced it at. Like, that's how I found out, because he sent me a text with like a picture from the crowd. So that's how the launch went for me.
Well, it leaked like 3 or 4 weeks before.
Did it? I didn't even know. See, you see, I'm 45. I do podcasts in my basement. I'm obviously not hip anymore.
Well, radio people are terrible at keeping secrets. Just terrible at it. It's been out there for a while. I would imagine some people in the crowd, it's like, oh, okay, finally, here we go.
All right, well, you heard about it last on Southside Pod.
It's the Southside! It's the Southside! It's Southside Pod! Thanks for listening! Thanks for tuning in to the Southside Pod! Y'all come back now, you hear?